most of the time, the joy in pursuing a goal is not actually reaching the goal. It's in the pursuit of. And, it's climbing up the mountain that where you get the most intense feelings of accomplishment, as opposed to when you reach the top of the mountain. Yeah, it's a beautiful view, but now it's kind of like, okay, now what?
So let's get started. Good morning, everybody. My name is Pinky Loomba, and we meet on Thursdays for our Learn and Grow Meetup. And today our topic is super awesome because Jim in the house. And a little bit about Jim. Jim is a founding partner at Jeroma Enterprises, where his valuable skill in business management, sales, marketing, finance, deal structure, and community development are being utilized to apply his lifelong interest in real estate investing to enhance the value for his investors and his personal investments in commercial real estate. So, first of all, welcome, Jim. Super excited to have you in the house today.
Thank you so much, Vicky. It's great to be back again.
All right, so our topic is very, very interesting. Earlier, I was talking to Eric, so he was just, sharing with me how he's trying to break in and wanted to start maybe 10, 20 units onwards. And then, we all kind of run into things. Sometimes things work, sometimes things does not work. And our topic today is why you are not succeeding. So I thought that was like so relevant in today's date and today's market. And Jim is going to talk about that. Jim picked that topic actually. So Jim, stage is all yours. I'm going to let you take on and share with us your insight.
So fantastic. Thank you, Vicky, so much. I think that this is a very, it's not only timely, but it's evergreen. This is a subject that we all, I think, continually struggle with our entire life and our entire career. And some of us may have some degree of success, but depending on what your goals are, you may not feel that way. And because this is a relatively small group, and I know there's some very, very successful people in the room, I think this might be a really great opportunity for us to treat this like a small coaching call that that we might have to pay $1,000 to spend an hour with a coach. I think if it's okay with Vinky, I'd like to just turn this into a coaching call instead of an interview.
Let's do that.
Fantastic. So I'm just going to treat my screen as a kind of a roll call, and just ask the question: do you feel like either you aren't succeeding in reaching your goals, or do you feel that the goals may be a little bit out of reach, or there's some major obstacle preventing you from reaching your goal? Or do you feel like you're making good progress on your goal? So Vinky is first on my screen, and my guess is she feels like she's making great progress on her goal. But I'll start with Vinky and ask you.
Well, I'm progressing, but there's many moving parts and lots of bells and whistles. Again, like you said earlier, it depends upon your goal, your vision. And my 2 cents are you never get there, because once you reach there, you're going to raise the bar. So I never feel like I'm there. That's what you can call it my problem, maybe, but it's a good problem, maybe. So, but the thing I'm realizing in my journey is that you never get there. It's just like your own personal growth, your own personal goals. It's not competing with anybody, just it's a competition with yourself, where you wanted to see yourself, next year and onwards.
So Vinky, I'm pretty much probably going to ask a very similar question to everyone, but you made a couple of really good points, which is most of the time, the joy in pursuing a goal is not actually reaching the goal. It's in the pursuit of. And, it's climbing up the mountain that where you get the most intense feelings of accomplishment, as opposed to when you reach the top of the mountain. Yeah, it's a beautiful view, but now it's kind of like, okay, now what? So the real question to me would be, are you happy in the journey, or are you like a lot of people, and I'm one of those, I'm never happy in the journey. I always feel like I'm an imposter. I always feel like I'm inadequate. Why would anybody want my opinion? And you're not doing enough. You're not accomplishing enough. So there's usually two different ways people feel about their goals and their journey. And I find that it helps a lot to know which person you are. So which are you, Vinky?
I enjoy the journey. I enjoy the process because I know I'm never going to get there no matter how hard I try. Because there's no destination. It's all about journey. And process is very, very important, just like getting to the destination. And I'm basically enjoying. So not feeling, even if I fail, I just learn a lesson and just kind of moving.
Yeah. So fantastic. You and Vinky, if you guys don't know any of Vinky's background, she's had multiple successful careers and very accomplished in a lot of different areas in life. And sure that if you're not spending time here every week, there's a lot you could learn by either spending time here or getting on a phone call with Vinky. And a lot of that too, not just if everyone here has an interest in real estate in some way or the other. At least I'm assuming you do, or you wouldn't be on this call. And so I think that networking and building those relationships and mentoring relationships, especially the ones, in my humble opinion, the ones that are not paid, I think are more genuine, and people probably have more of your interest at heart. So, Mark, I know that I think Mark has had a great couple of years. He is probably, you think you're busy going to 5 or 6 conferences a year. I will absolutely assure you you're not. Mark, I think, is at a conference every week. So, Mark, same question. How do you feel about the journey, and do you feel like you're meeting your goals? Do you feel like a success?
Yes, yeah, excuse me. Yes, I feel like I'm exceeding my goals and expectations. We've been incredibly busy and blessed, and I also have very high expectations for myself. I'm self-disciplined and self-motivated, and as you indicated, I do attend and exhibit at a lot of conferences around the country and in the Chicago area. So I'm constantly doing stuff, and probably more of a workaholic type. That's kind of that's where I get a lot of my joy and pleasure, obviously with friends and family as well. But I really enjoy working and helping people and helping them save money.
So I'm going to add another twist on this. What is, because I suspect there's a lot of people here that are satisfied and feel like they're reaching their goals. What is the one big thing, or the single biggest thing, that you want to accomplish in the next 12 months?
To stay on top of all the business that I'm bringing in, and have satisfaction for all my clients. I know that our corporate office is doing the same thing, we're on a real growth spurt and hiring lots of people to keep up with everything.
Yeah, sometimes you have to be careful building that business. You build it so big that it can feel like a mountain of weight on top of you. And luckily, you've got a great team behind you at CSSI to lean on. But a lot of us are entrepreneurs. Some of us are doing this full time. Some of us are doing this as a second gig, if you will, or a side hustle, trying to replace a W-2. And it can be overwhelming if you don't have a team around you to support you if you grow things too big. So you want to be very deliberate about how you set your goals.
Yeah, it's definitely a team effort. And what I like is that with technology and everything, they're looking at ways to streamline different aspects of the job. So looking forward to it. Everything's positive.
So Vinky, I'm gonna back up and ask you, what is the number one thing, if you had only one, or the most important one, you want to accomplish in the next 12 months?
So the next 12 months, what I wanted to do is I wanted to do nonprofit work, a lot of it. So I wanted to take at least 2 projects every month So we were doing only one project in one quarter because that's how much we could support. But we put ourselves in a place now we should be able to, scale. So now my goal is, before the end of the year, we should be doing at least 2 projects every month. And for that, I need a lot more efforts at my end, maybe a lot more deals, a lot more capital on the table. So that's what I'm working towards. But I'm enjoying the process, like I said, and I'm 100% sure that it's going to happen.
Fantastic. So Eric, you're next. Do you feel successful and enjoy the journey, or do you feel like I'm challenged and I've got a long way to go to get to where I want to be?
I think I'm finally figuring out like a starting point to start investing, because I've also been trying to build a bookkeeping business to have clients with that. And so I've mostly been concentrating with real estate investors, which has kind of helped, bring some opportunities and learn. But I think I do want to do the investing. It's just figuring out how do I fit that into my schedule. So there aren't a lot of, so I think I'm going to try and start looking up owners of properties in my area. So that's kind of my goal for the next month, and just try and fit in time to make those calls and start lining up people to, that I can borrow funds from, especially for the down payment. I do have some questions how I might want to handle earnest money and inspection fees, things like that, because it's probably not fair to the person I'm borrowing to have them pay for it for me. So I may want to kind of pick someone's brain on that idea. But so I'm just starting looking at multifamily and storage. I was thinking starting small for multifamily, like 20 to 50 units, just because my assumption is that there's probably only going to be a few investors that I might be connected with initially, but maybe there's more opportunities, and I'm realizing maybe I can start bigger. But that's kind of where I am anyway. It's just getting started.
Fantastic. Where do you live, Eric?
I'm in the Minneapolis area. So I think right now I'm just going to look in this market, since I can walk the properties here, and then go from there. I'm going to focus on the suburbs though, because Minneapolis and both St. Paul are doing rent control right now. So I'll just stick to the suburbs. I think there's good opportunities out there.
Fantastic. So there's a lot to unpack there, but one of the things I heard is something that I suffer from, which is I grew up in an environment of scarcity, and I grew up very poor, and in my mind I'm still that poor little hillbilly kid. Mm-hmm. And I feel guilty asking people for help. I feel guilty asking people for money. I feel guilty with a lot of things that I do. And it's something that, you have to practice doing the things that make you uncomfortable.
Right.
And I absolutely guarantee you, there's a lot of people in this world that would love to give you money. If you don't have the money for a down payment, if you don't have the money for earnest money deposit, inspections, there's absolutely a lot of people that are so busy in their life, and they believe in this asset class, that they would gladly give you the money if you would ask for it. But if you don't ask for it, they don't know that you need it.
Right.
And so you have to be comfortable in that. You'll see coming back up again and again and again with me. Most people, I believe, if you ask the question from anyone that would typically be on these types of calls, they want to get more out of their life. They're looking to grow into something different. And most of them have heard the expression, get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us, I think, would say, yeah, that's me. I'm looking forward to being uncomfortable and getting outside my comfort zone. But if you ask it in a different way, which is, do you enjoy stressful situations? Do you enjoy putting yourself in really uncomfortable circumstances and going to sleep at night so stressed that you have trouble sleeping? Then most people would say, no, I don't. And it's really the same question asked in a different way. Mm-hmm. And there is such a thing as good stress and bad stress. And I believe we want to live in that good stress. And hopefully it will motivate us to get to the pieces we want. But I'll also say that most of us, if we're working a W-2 job, or if we're a business owner, and you're working even harder than a W-2 job, most likely putting in a lot more than 40 hours a week. But I find that the vast majority of people, if they have a job, really, they're really not looking for a second job. Because if they were, there's a lot easier places to find it than here. What they're really looking for is passive income. They're looking for a way to create wealth and income without having to spend 40 hours a week doing it. Would that describe you, or no, you don't think that describes you?
Yeah, I want the passive income because I have things I'd rather spend my time on. So
Yeah.
it's just a matter of getting there.
I think most of us do. But I will tell you that the other question would be, are you, if you're interested in real estate, there's really two primary ways of being involved in real estate, whether it's, we're talking industrial, commercial, storage, multifamily, mobile home parks, no matter what we're talking about. Generally, you're going to be involved as a GP or an LP.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've already got a full-time job, and I'll make this a blanket statement for everyone here, if you don't want to work more than 40 hours a week, if you don't want to have a second full-time job, my advice to you is really look very, very hard at being an LP. Because if passive income is your primary goal, I always, even as a GP on a deal, I always make more money with my LP position. So every deal that I'm on as a GP, I also invest as an LP. And I always make more money as an LP than I do a GP. And so if passive income, and if you're not trying to do something overnight, if passive income is your goal and to make your money work harder than you do, then being in an LP position and finding good people that you trust to be in deals with. And right now, there's a lot of things coming to the surface and things that may make people uncomfortable. So it's very important that you choose that right jockey that you want to, so to speak, ride into battle with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. You were going to say something? Follow up?
I was going to ask a question on, so if you're trying to get started, but you don't have the funds to be a limited partner, you kind of need to start in the general side, don't you?
No. No, you absolutely don't. There's other ways and other things that you can do, but I would say that let's try to get through the room, and if we have time, we can come back for Q&A. But if we don't, I'll just say right now, I would be willing to sit here on the phone with you guys for hours and answer questions and try to help you. But we won't be able to do that. But if you have, specific questions that you want to ask me, you can send me a DM on LinkedIn, or you can text me my personal cell phone number and email. I would advise not to email because I am way behind. But if you text me and say, "Hey, Jim, it's Eric. We were on the call with Vinky's Meetup, and I had an additional question," I'll be happy to answer any questions for you guys after this is over. So,
okay.
Richard Hall. Richard, are you on the call? We'll come back to Richard. If I forget you, please raise your hand and speak up. All right, we will skip Sonia. Fernando.
Hey, Jim.
Hey, how are you, man?
Doing good.
So great to see. Fernando's from Chicago. If everyone doesn't know Fernando, also a small business owner. Guarantee he's working more than 40 hours a week.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Sometimes when I'm resting, the phone's still going off. Hey, what do we need to do here? Need to do there? It's like, oh geez, no time off.
Yeah. So Fernando, same question. Do you feel like you're succeeding in life and reaching your goals? And are you happy in that journey, or do you kind of torture yourself and say, I'm not doing enough, I don't feel like I'm getting to where I want to go?
Yeah, Jim, very good question. Listen, I would say I'm kind of kicking myself in the butt, right? Because I feel like I can do more, right? But then life happens, work happens, right? Unexpected scenarios happen, which, you cannot be Superman, right, so to speak, and try to conquer the world, right? So I'm in the position where I feel like I can do more, right? I just feel like I need that push, right? Such as from individuals such as yourself, Jim, right? I consider you to be very successful, and like as well with Mike telling me like, hey, you can do even more, right? You can buy this 10 unit, you can buy this 20 unit in real estate. I was like, oh, geez, that's like amazing. But I just need that push, that kick. I need somebody to encourage, and I think that's where I can accomplish much more.
Yeah. And a lot of times, especially if you're an independent business owner, for everyone that's on the call, and you don't want to work, you're already working 60, 80 hours a week, and you don't want to work 120. The easiest way for you to reach that next step is to hire someone. It's
Right.
find a person to replace you. And it's not like Fernando owns an automotive service shop, a very successful one. And we were talking about expanding the location, or even expanding for an additional location. And I think that, you can hire more mechanics and build more business, but you're not replacing you. And all you're doing is making you more busy. And until you find someone to take over the leadership role, someone that you can grow into that leadership role, and then that person will push you to your next level, because they will relieve you of that day-to-day 9 to 5 responsibility. And now you are freed up to do something else. And you're the type of person who will feel, I have to do something else. I'm not that person that can just say, oh, okay, now I've got, 4, 5, 6 extra hours every day. I'll just, hang out with the kids and the wife, and we'll go to the museum campus every day.
Yeah.
And so I think for people like you that are business owners, that's the fastest way to get to the next level.
Correct.
Or become an LP investor. Find the kind of deals that you would like to buy, and then invest in those deals with another sponsor, so that they're doing all the work and you're sponsoring. So if you and Eric, and I'm a big proponent of investing locally and investing where you are, especially when you're just getting started. You're gonna, no matter how many deals you've done, you're going to make a lot of mistakes, and it's easier, and the mistakes are not as exponential if you start off small. And also they're easier for you to solve if they're local. And so if right now, if you and Eric lived in the same town, and you live relatively close to each other, you're only 5 hours apart. But I would say, for Eric, hey, find something that fits in Fernando's buy box that Fernando would buy himself, and you operate it. And the two of you team up together, and Fernando with some capital and you with the sweat equity. And that's really, it's all about finding solutions to problems, and stop saying I can't, and start saying how can I.
True. Very true.
So I know there was other things that I was going to ask you. So how do you feel in the stressful environment, Fernando? We were talking about, are you comfortable being uncomfortable? Do you really enjoy stress?
You know what, Jim? I think stress is a motivation to work even harder, right? And at the very beginning, as you mentioned, right, starting the business, I've been in business for 6 years. I recall the first 3-4 years were very stressful, regarding like, am I doing things right? Am I charging adequately, right? Are the customers going to be happy with the services we provide? And there was a point in that first couple of years that I was so stressed, I was losing hair. And that's when the wife brought it up to my attention. She's like, hey, you have bald spots. I was like, wait, what? And so I was like, geez, man, it's all because of the stress. So Jim, I learned for myself that, what, don't take the stress as a negative factor, right? Use it as an advantage, right? So I learned to control stress. For instance, one of the things I learned throughout the years was don't bring work home, right? Even though it's hard being a small business owner, like don't bring it home. I could recall like getting home and customers had my personal number and they were still calling me late at night. I was like, dude, so I'm like, what's going on? But then I stopped giving my personal number, right? But I felt the obligation. Hey, here's my number, right? Call me if you ever have concerns. But I'm like, there is a business number for a reason, right? So that was one of the examples, right? How I started managing through that stress level. Now, if we don't complete work, we don't complete a certain car by the certain time frame, I just call the customer up and I'm like, hey, we're not going to finish your car. I'm sorry. It's unfortunate, but there's nothing else I can do. Car has all the tires off, and as sure enough, they can get upset. But at this point, I'm not going to get upset about it, right? It's not going to I'm not going to go home and cry about it neither. But, it's just working with what you got and adjusting to your environment.
Yeah, and that goes back to good stress and bad stress. And so an example would be good stress is, you've made a promise to a customer and you gave them a legitimate time frame that you thought you could meet, and you're not going to meet it. So then how do you handle that? Do you, a lot of people, maybe most people, would ignore that and say, hey, it's just not ready and it'll be ready tomorrow or whatever, but they're not proactive about it. And so the customer calls and says, hey, where's my car? Getting really mad, getting upset. I had a big meeting tomorrow and I was depending on it. So if you're not proactive, that can turn into a really, really bad situation, ugly situation, become very bad stress. And as opposed to being proactive, calling them and say, look, we ran into some issues we didn't expect, and here's what's going to happen. Here's how long it's going to take. And then you're proactively dealing with the situation. And if the customer comes back at you, they're going to come back in a very different manner with a different attitude. And then you've got an opportunity to help them solve an additional problem they have in their life. And you may or may not be able to solve it, but you're there with the opportunity. And if you do, then you've gained a lifelong customer instead of being in a bad, stressful situation. So the key takeaway there is, and I know you do this very, very well, Fernando, is de-escalate situations and be proactive in trying to solve problems. Don't sit there hoping the problem will fix itself or go away, or the customer just is used to this, so they won't mind. They know this is the way things happen, because that's, I guarantee you, the way most owners are handling it. So
yeah, true, Jim.
Right, great, thanks, Fernando. So Kevin, are you with us, Kevin, on the line? Can you unmute yourself? So usually, guys, I charge $1,000 an hour for a coaching call. So if you're already successful and you don't think there's any benefit in this for you, I would say, raise your hand and say, hey, I feel very successful and I just won't call on you. But otherwise, take advantage of the opportunity to see if we can help you in some way. Lubna?
Yeah, hi, how are you?
Fantastic, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks to give me this opportunity. First, I don't have a job, and maybe I'm not succeed in my field until now because there is a gap. I'm a newcomer here in Canada, but I received an email about this session, and I would like to participate to know how can I succeed. I'm here only less than 2 years in Canada, in London, Ontario. I worked to develop my English language for 1.5 years approximately, and now my goals, my short term, to apply to the CACB because I have an architect. I'm an international architect from Jordan, but I'm struggling here because I didn't have a Canadian experience. I didn't know about the building code. So if if you can support me or guide me to the best way and the fastest way to get my goal, that will be amazing.
Fantastic. So what is your number one goal? What's the big thing that you hope to accomplish in the next 12 months?
12 months to at least to find a job in my field as an architect, but I need to develop my hard skills.
And what area of architecture is your specialty, Lubna?
In Jordan, there is no specialty because we worked with many fields. So my experience as an architect in Jordan for the resident building, hospital, the community, it's general, not like here. And in my experience, I worked as well as an interior design. So the company which I worked with them, they linked and compared between the architect and the interior design.
Fantastic. And are you looking to work specifically for a certain type of firm, or are you open to working in maybe a little bit of still within your field, but in a little more of an untraditional company?
Sorry, I didn't get your point. If you can repeat it, please.
Okay. Well, first off,
Yeah.
I apologize for not being clearer. And I want to stop and say your English, for only having practiced for a year and a half, is absolutely phenomenal. So, you know, I can tell that you've worked very, very hard at it. And you're just, I'm blown away by how well you're using the English language. But so you can work for an architectural firm, you know, one of the big firms, or you could go to work for a builder and be their in-house architectural consultant. So those would be the two different things that are coming to mind right now. Are you interested in only working for one of those, or are you open to working for either of those?
Either.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on just a sec. Oh, Esther, did Esther already sign? Yeah, Esther had another meeting to prepare for. Okay. So in the chat, if there's anyone else that has something like that, let me know. Just raise your hand. Lubna, I think there's a lot of different things. And are you plugged into, well, first off, are you married? Do you have other obligations, other family obligations?
I have 3 kids, but I'm single mom.
Okay, all right. So you've got a huge day job without having a day job, and a lot of responsibility. So I would encourage you, if you're not plugged into a lot of the organizations and situations like this on Zoom, you know, to plug into those, because those you can do easily from home and kind of get you started. I think there's a huge amount of opportunity for you. The real estate field and kind of the circle of people that you'll meet on meetups like this and networking events like this is huge. And, you know, I know just off the top of my head, probably a dozen different large firms that, you know, you could say, hey, if you're looking for an architect and it's something that, you know, that I can do virtually from without having to travel to Texas or Arizona or Florida, you know, or other places in Canada, you know, I think there's a lot of opportunity there for you. So I would say, let's do some brainstorming. If you want, send me, either text me or send me a DM on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to try to introduce you to some people virtually to try to help you get to where you want to go. I don't think it's going to be very hard at all for you to get what you want in 12 months. But I would also say that are you a homeowner right now, or are you renting?
No, I'm renting.
Okay. So I would encourage you, there's probably in Canada very similar programs to here in the States for first-time home buyers. I would encourage you to connect with another real estate investor and use your first-time homebuyer status to potentially get into a small multifamily, maybe a 3 or 4 unit, so that you can be an owner. But I would also encourage you to start hanging out with other real estate investors locally that you can add a lot to a team. So every team needs to have different skill sets. And very few teams in the multifamily space, in the small multifamily space, have people that are architects and interior design on their team. So it's an opportunity for you to build passive income and be into partnerships by bringing your skill set. And most of them don't have it. So I think that, again, another area that you could potentially get into very quickly onto some teams just by the expertise that you bring to the team. And all of those don't require that you actively have your license in Canada. The fact that you are classically trained and you have the skill set is really the important piece. So,
Oh, great. Thank you. Appreciate your help. Thanks a lot.
so Deepak,
Well, hey, Jim.
hey.
So go ahead. So I got into syndications last year, right?
Mhm.
So right now I'm an LP in 2 properties, and I'm looking to be a GP on some of my own deals. And since I am kind of like starting this from scratch, so my goal was to do at least 2 or 3 syndications this year, but just the way the market has changed, I've kind of like dialed it back down to maybe 1 or 2.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of like following the market, kind of see where it is, and adjust accordingly. And just being myself, I'm trying to build up my own systems, right? To build my team and build my systems. So being I guess one and only, right, in my company, right? So I can be nimble, but I'm trying to multitask, right? So sometimes but sometimes I kind of get sidetracked on focusing on one aspect when I should be, spreading it out among the other on the other tasks. So I kind of get distracted sometimes.
Deepak, I feel like I've met you before and know your story. So if I have, I apologize for not remembering better. But do you still have a day job, a W-2?
I'm doing this full time now.
Okay.
For the investing.
All right.
Yeah.
And what was your experience in W-2 world?
So I came from an IT background. So I
Mhm.
left that in 2019. And in 2019, I was a mortgage loan officer. And then 2020, 2021 is kind of when everything went downhill from there. But
Okay.
but through all my time that I was in IT, I wanted to do investing in real estate, but I just didn't have the time to kind of like focus on that because I was always traveling for my work, right? So I was never in one place.
So, and you got into a couple of LP properties, which is probably the smart move. If you're going to be in this business and you've got a full-time W-2, the easiest way, the fastest way,
Right.
is to be an LP. And if you get with good partners, as an example, Vinky and a lot of her deals, you're going to get monthly updates. You're going to get communication. You're going to know kind of and have a vision into what the GPs are doing and transparency into what they're doing so that you can learn a lot from that just by, the classic way they teach in the military and the classic way they teach in major educational platforms like for doctors is you watch one, you do one, and you teach one. And so by being an LP, that's the watch one phase of that learning system. And so, you're listening, you're watching, you're seeing what's going on and how they're overcoming obstacles and getting a feel for, the systems that are in place and how to do that. So you've done a lot of that already. So where do you reside?
I'm in Southern California.
Okay. All right. Being from Southern Cal, being from San Francisco or New York or maybe even Chicago, I'm sure you hear a ton about don't invest here, right?
I am familiar with that term, and I am not. Both of my properties that I'm an LP in are in Texas. Now one is, just hour north of Houston, and the other one is in Dallas. So my thinking was when I'm looking at properties, I want to like diversify the locations. And then also not just deal. If I'm going to do my own syndication, I want to be insulated, from any kind of how should I say that?
Downturns in a particular market.
Exactly, right.
Or
Insulated from
limitations.
downturns.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and or limitations to a particular market.
Correct. Yeah, and the LP I'm in is with two different operators. Right. So I've kind of like diversified that as well,
Good.
I don't want to be like what happened in Houston.
Yeah. People that had invested with the same person,
Right.
deals, and had all
So
of their money.
I because I came from an IT and I kind of dealt with data protection, so I kind of leveraged that I want to leverage that to this. Because also with data protection, we also had everything leveraged out too, right? It was separated out. So that's kind of what my thinking is. But since I'm new to this and building it out, so my goals are probably not as aggressive as as some others, but I'm also the one where I can also adjust and adapt to the way things go.
One of the key takeaways here, folks, that we may not have time to delve into very deeply, but setting SMART goals, and if you don't know what that means, it's an acronym, look it up. Setting SMART goals is very, very important to you getting to where you want to go. But more importantly than setting them is evaluating them. And if you're not hitting them, a SMART goal has a lot of components to it, but you work from the end goal, what you want to accomplish, let's say 5 years from now, and work your way backwards to a yearly goal, to quarterly goals, to monthly goals, to weekly goals, to daily goals. And you need to have it broken down to a daily goal, because it's the only way that you can truly track, those KPIs of success toward reaching your goal. And if you find that you cannot reach your daily goal, you don't give up. You don't beat yourself up. You reevaluate your goal. Your goal was too big for for the situation of where you are in life at that moment. So it may need to be a 10-year goal. If your goal was to call 10 new investors every day and you're struggling to call 2, and that was a 5-year goal and it tracked backwards to 10 investors, then you need to change that to 2 and have success. It's very important that you have success reaching your goals. And when you can do 2 for a week and then for a month, then make it 3. Don't try to make it 10 again. Make it 3. Now you're challenging yourself. You always want to be challenging yourself, and you want big goals. But the big goal cannot be accomplished in one day. That's why we set it for 5 years, maybe even 10 years, or 20, or an adult lifetime. If it takes you 5 years to get up to 10 calls a day, then the goal is not going to happen in 5 years or 10 years. But it's very, very important that you reevaluate that and have successes for yourself every day. So Deepak, do you feel successful in your life right now, or do you feel like there's something holding me back?
I'm just moving forward, right? So I think success for me at this stage would be when I am able to close on my first deal.
Okay. Well,
that's just the beginning, right? That'll just be the beginning. After that,
what do you feel your biggest strength is?
Because I came from IT, I'm more of a research focus, so like analytical. So like analyzing properties is one of the things that I'm really working on, focusing on.
Are you a people person?
I'm getting there.
Because in the mortgage consulting business, I would imagine you had to be very much a people person. even if you're not a people person, you had to practice being one.
Well, yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I've gone through that, and that was sort of like one of the stepping stones that I was wanting to learn too, because of the real estate. Be able to learn the finance side of things, right? So yeah, so that is a people person. That's when we're trying to do a refinance or a loan for a person. Now it's like on the other side is that now we're trying to get that person to invest with us.
Yeah.
So it's a totally different,
The whole life
same
cycle.
concept, but different people person.
Yeah,
relationship.
absolutely. So, have you targeted where you want your first investment to be, and what that first investment looks like?
Since I'm looking outside of California, I want to find something where I can have boots on the ground. I do have some, a contact, like I said, in Texas and the Dallas and Houston areas. So I do have some contacts there. But right now, I'm looking at a couple of different areas that are landlord friendly, not tenant friendly.
Okay, let me ask you a question about that, because this goes back to being in California, San Francisco, Chicago, Minneapolis. Not landlord friendly. None of those places are landlord friendly. But if all your tenants have a credit score of 750, all of them have a great W-2 job making 7,500 to 200 grand a year, do you really care if it's landlord friendly or not? Is that a factor at all? Are you going to need to evict those people?
Well, I thought about that too, right? I mean, yeah, you can have those high paying tenants, but if one of those tenants, loses their job, even though it is high paying, there could be the one thing too that then it can take advantage of those tenant friendly requirements, where if you can't pay your rent, you can't evict them.
So do you think that most tenants that take advantage of those situations, is that in their character? Or do you think it was situational driven? They lost their job and now they're going to screw you because they don't have a job and you do, and you can afford to take the loss.
Like I said, every person is different. You can never tell.
Well, there's a lot of generalities you can make.
Yeah.
That's
well,
what
I mean, I would expect them to, to do something like that.
Yeah,
but
I've got a point, and I'll just get to it. What makes us unique as a species on Earth is we don't make every decision logically. We assume a lot based upon our collective knowledge, and we assume a lot based upon past circumstances. And that's what's allowed us to move forward with such huge leaps in the history of mankind. And you can assume that most people are decent people. Most people pay their rent. If you want to dig really deep into this and start finding out, okay, what percentage of people wind up in eviction? Of all renters, even in bad neighborhoods, what percentage of them wind up in the eviction courts? It's really tiny. But as an industry, we're trying to scare the poop out of you because we are trying to get you to invest in certain deals in certain areas. But I can guarantee you, I just posted an article here this morning that Chicago is voted the second best city in the world. So what does that mean to me as an investor? It means it's a great place to live, and that there's a lot of opportunity to make money, and there's a lot of people who are making money. Now, if you listen to the gurus, they'll say it's a horrible place. It's losing population. It's not landlord friendly. It's not business friendly. All kinds of reasons. But yet, there's 15, 20 cranes downtown putting up new high rises. And there's people getting filthy rich every day. And they're really happy that all these small guys are being told, don't come here, because it's less competition for them. So I'm not trying to get you to invest in any particular market. I'm trying to say, think deeper about some of the messaging that our industry is telling you. Think deeper about it. There's a lot more important things than where you're investing. So getting in a deal that you can control because of several factors is a lot more important than some of these other factors that are really way, way, way down the list. So I will also say to you that if you've got a little bit of capital, or if you have the ability to raise a small amount of capital, it's not going to allow you to get on any big deals, but it absolutely would allow you to get on some smaller deals. And the fastest way to become a GP is raising capital, or having a little bit of your capital of your own, so that you can say, you know, I don't want to invest as an LP. I've got 100 grand, but I don't want to put in an LP deal. I want to be a GP. Then find a small deal. Find an Eric Hempler on a call like this. Be comfortable in his market. Fly out to Minnesota. Get to meet him. Start looking at some assets. And when he finds one that you would love to own, say, hey, Eric, let's see if we can do this together. You know, or someone like Eric. You know, use your skill set. It's very easy to get from where you are to where you want to be, but you've got to be deliberate. You've got to make some, some decisive action steps and start taking them. But again, I think you're very, very close to getting where you want to go. But I think maybe you need to really look at your plan and your SMART goal and see, okay, is this the best plan? Is this, to get me where I want to go? Because sometimes we think we want to be a GP of a 100-unit deal somewhere in Arizona, somewhere in Texas. And I'm here to tell you, especially in today's environment, if you haven't done it before, it's going to be a long time before you do it. A long time. And not to be discouraging. And if that's your goal, I can give you some tips and tricks on how to do it, but raising capital is going to be the number one fastest way. But I would discourage you from doing it. I would say instead, find something that you have more control over. Find something that you can partner. If that's your ultimate goal is to be a GP, then, find something, nothing wrong with finding something in the SoCal and finding a couple of partners in SoCal. Vinky lives in California. Say, Vinky, let's you and me find a place and let's buy it just you and me. It doesn't prevent you from doing the rest of the things you want to do,
Right.
but it allows you to get to where you want to go really quickly. And honestly, what you pay for it is irrelevant. As long as you're not massively overpaying for it, what you pay for it's irrelevant. What most people don't know, and dirty little secret in our industry, is nobody gets a deal, quote unquote. So if an asset, the whisper price on an asset is 20 million, you think somebody bought it for 18? No. If whisper price was 20 million, the actual closing price was probably 21 million.
Mm-hmm.
So did they get a great deal? Yeah. If they're a good team, they got a great deal and they overpaid. So my encouragement to everyone, if you want a deal, you can get a deal today, especially if you're dealing in smaller assets. Just go out and find what's for sale and don't argue over the price. Argue about something else. And pay what they want to pay. And just like that, you want a deal. It's a lot easier than you think. But you have to have a plan, because a great deal is made after you own the deal and you're operating. You create a great deal. This bullshit that you make your money on the front end when you buy is just that. If it smells like poop, looks like poop, guess what? It's going to taste like poop. But you will make it a good deal. You'll plant a rose in it and not taste it. And suddenly you have a big rose bush and it'll smell nice. So, okay. Let's see. Emma D, are you on the call, Emma D?
Hi, can you hear me? I've been having
Yes,
a lot
we
of
can.
trouble with my internet. I'm sorry.
We hear you great. So where are you calling from, Emma?
Getting
I'm
here.
Oh, where?
My name's Emma. I got your link to getting here. I'm from Mexico, actually.
From Mexico. Fantastic.
Yes. I'm actually 18, and what can I say? I'm just very interested in multifamily.
Okay. Where are you calling from today? Are you in Mexico today?
Yes.
What
Yes,
city?
I am. I'm in a place called Zacatecas.
Okay. Is that in the Yucatan Peninsula?
No,
Where
no, it's almost in the center of the city.
Okay,
Of the city, of the country, sorry.
of the country, close to
Yes.
Mexico City?
Not really. It's probably like 8 hours away.
Okay.
6.
Well, you can tell that my geography of Mexico is pretty limited, but so fantastic to have you on the call today. So what do you feel about where you are in life? Do you feel you're a success right now, you're a failure, or you're on your way to being one or the other?
I feel like I'm on my way to becoming successful. I am learning as much as I can. As I said, I'm 18, so it's very difficult to have very big goals like, oh, I want to get into multifamily someday. But I think I'm on my way, and I have a lot of determination. I'm working very hard to learn as much as I can. So yeah, planning and stuff.
What do you feel is the biggest thing that would help you get to where you want to go this next year?
Uh, well, I really want to get into real estate as soon as possible. But definitely money is a huge limitation, especially being here in Mexico. Like even if I get a good paying job, it's not really going to be enough to get into real estate, because like, the market here in Mexico is very different to the market in the US.
We're going to run out of time here, Emma.
Yes.
So I'm going to make a suggestion to you. There's a lot of people here in the U.S. that would love to invest in Mexico. So if I were you, I don't know if we're connected on LinkedIn, but if we're not, connect with me on LinkedIn and start networking. Come to meetups like this as often as you can. Follow people on this call, like myself, like Vinky, and you'll find a lot of people that can help you get to where you want to go. And I know a lot of people that would like to invest in Mexico. And so the hardest piece of that is when you're trying to invest somewhere far away from you, is finding someone you can trust that are boots on the ground, someone that lives there, someone that knows the area very, very well. And I'll tell you, it can work both ways. There's a lot of Mexican citizens that would love to invest in the US, and you can be the conduit for making that happen. So you could get a following of investors in Mexico and collectively start investing in deals in the United States. So,
thank you so much for that advice. I didn't really think of that option.
Okay, we lost you on the tail end of that, but we heard the thank you part, so you're welcome. We're not going to get to everyone, so Nina, I apologize. Marcus, we've had these conversations, so I know Marcus and I very well. So I'm trying to see if there's someone else I missed. If there's anyone else I missed, I think Devin, I may have missed you. I know I missed Sonia and Richard. Excuse me a second. I apologize for that.
That's okay, Jim. We can do another one. We can have you back, and then we can have another session like that. I think this was pretty insightful for a lot of people. Thanks for your time, Jim, and I really, really appreciate you being here. Can you share your contact information with everybody one more time?
Yeah, I think the easiest way to reach me is either through the gobnetwork.com or through my LinkedIn connection, and I'm Jim Biggs 1 on LinkedIn. So it's really easy to find me there. And all of my contact information is on LinkedIn. It's easy, or just Google Jim Biggs, and I think I pop up, fairly easily on the Google machine also. And I hope that you guys got some good stuff out of this. I know I learned a lot just talking to everyone and seeing where you are on your journey, and always very exciting to see where people are and how they feel about their own success and some things that may be holding them back. So I appreciate you having me on, Vinky, very much. I hope that you guys got some value, and a pleasure meeting you. Hope to meet you guys again.
Of course. Thanks again, Jim. And thanks, everybody. I'll see you guys next week, same time at the same channel. Have a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you.
Bye.